Hi, this is Dan from onlinebasscourses.com. Hope you're doing well. In this lesson, I'm going to show you some choice moments from New York Minute by Don Henley. So this is played by the incomparable Pino Palladino, who's just an amazing player. I'm not going to go through absolutely everything because I'm just taking little bits of this and I'm going to show you how you might be able to come up with your own lines that are similar to this. But I would recommend that you just listen to the whole of this bass line. It's really, really classy the way Pino gets to all the different notes. Now, before we go on, I always have to brag when I play this bass because this was Pino's actual bass. I bought it from the Bass Gallery a few years ago. I think it was on a David Sanborn record and definitely a Joan Armour Trading Tour because that's on the flight case. Anyway, but don't expect me to play exactly like Pino because who can? So the song is in the key of C natural minor. So Pino's doing a lot of fills around that scale, but also the minor pentatonic, C minor pentatonic. Which, if you add one note to that, you get the blues scale. So I'm just going to take you through the song. Unfortunately, due to the restrictions on YouTube, I can't play the track. That would be lovely to do, but I'm just going to show you the bits that I really like from this and explain them. So first of all, we have a lovely moment in the intro where it goes. So a lot of very simple note choices, but the way that Pino plays is just so incredibly musical and lyrical. And this portion of his career, he was doing the fretless thing, and I think it was on his Music Man Stingray, late 70s, pre-Ernie Ball one. And it's just his touch and his control of the instrument is something to strive towards. So we're going. And there again is your C minor pentatonic scale. And then what I'm talking about with the touch and the control, little two pull-offs in a row. With a little slide into the note. So it's always weird when you're doing a fretless lesson because you might have a fretless or fretted bass rather now. And sometimes I have to describe the fret numbers that we're at, but this doesn't have any frets. So where, 7th fret would be, there's a D. You've got D, E flat, F. In reverse. And then up again. And then we're doing that little slide into the C. Now this bit sounds to me as doing a little trill there. And that's that blues note, that's the flat 5. Before you end up on the root note, the C. But really and truly, just make sure you know this pattern. That's just your C minor blues scale. When your first finger gets to the G string, that note one semitone lower than that. I've noticed that Pino uses that loads. When he plays Forget You, there's a fill in the middle of Forget You where he does he uses that note a lot. It just sounds really, really melodic. The verse starts off just A flat to B flat. It's just being pretty simple there, but there's a little fill there. Now again, just whether you're on a fretted or a fretless, it doesn't matter, but obviously it's a bit more difficult on a fretless. This one's got no lines. I can see the dots here though, so I know roughly where my fingers should be going, but there's a C here. So where the 10th fret would be on a fretted. And lots of Pino's fills are coming from notes round here. So a lovely moment there where we're going G on the E string, chromatically up to A and then to B in the bass. And again, it's into that shape I was showing you earlier. It's almost like a Hendrix-like lick here, where it's just doing a little gliss, a little slide into the G on the A string. And then we've got B flat, to E flat, and rolling my finger across there, landing on that C. I like to grab little bits of songs that I like and then use it in other situations. So, if you've ever got a minor pentatonic or a minor chord, as this is, the C minor chord, then we've got a really cool fill going into the chorus. Again, messing around with the bluesy sort of C minor pentatonic thing. So, does that a lot. With a little slide down. Chorus is really cool. So we've got a G to an A flat, A flat to B flat, and then a C. And he does something that just is a really lovely feature that weaves in and out of the vocals and comes back later on in the last chorus, and I'll show you that. But for now, does this. So we're on the A flat here, going to the 5th of the chord, and that's the 9th, before landing on the A flat. Now, I have no idea if Pino's thinking in these terms. He's so musical. He's just such a musical comedian with amazing technique, amazing ears, that he possibly isn't thinking like I am, fifths and ninths and things like that. It really doesn't matter if you think in terms of intervals as those are, or look, this shape I know from experience, that sounds good. That's possibly, Pino's a very intuitive player. That's possibly the way he does it. Whatever works, but I just know that I use that a lot. I've nicked that a lot. This being a pop song, that is a little hook amongst so many that he does in this song. Another thing I tend to steal is this. Very simple. Just instead of going straight to the A flat, little slide from the B flat down into the A flat. There's a few nice things he does in verse 2. We just got the A flat to the B flat again. There's the B flat. And a 10th, which is just the major third up the octave. So in this case, B flat where the 6th fret would be, and the 10th is on the next fret on the G string. Next we have this one. Your fingering, if you're playing fretless, has to be really precise for this, but it's those same notes I was talking about before. So we've got an E flat to an F, which is a hammer on followed by a pull off. Now notice I'm using my little finger for this, and I need to because I need the first finger here. So I need fingers lined up like this. And if you don't use your little finger, it'll be quite difficult to play this. So it's a good example of why you need to get that involved. And he's got really big, long fingers to be able to do this very easily. It's a bit more difficult for me, but just a C minor triad in reverse. Okay, before the second chorus, we got another lovely, lovely fill. There's that C again. And we got the 5th of that, which is the G on the G string, where the 12th fret would be. There's G, F, and E flat. G, F is a slide. And then E flat, F, G. Got this finger pattern here where my first finger's stretched out a bit so I can get all those 3 notes on one string. Second chorus, we've got much of the same. Now, I really recommend that you do that lovely hook like this. The way he plays it is so smooth. There's no jumps between those notes. So yeah, put your first finger on the A flat. And there's a bit of a stretch. I'm using my second finger, a little bit of a shift across, pivot round the back with the thumb to get to that second finger on the 5th of the chord. and just doing the little bar with the second finger to catch the A flat. The middle 8 section is like a jazz chord progression here. If you think that the relative major of C natural minor is E flat major, then the 2 chord of that is F minor. So we've got a 2 chord here. And then we go to a D half diminished, or D minor 7 flat 5, to a G7, to a C. So that's like a minor 2-5-1, which is a classic jazz thing. I highlight that to show you a really lovely fill that he does here. So that right there is your D. And I apologise for getting a little technical here, but we've got a D Locrian, it's a mode. And again, I really don't think Pino's thinking in this way, but I like to think in this way because I know that pattern, it's just this. And then when I hear him doing a fill, I can just see it's the notes that come from that. And why? Because it's over that chord. It really does fit together beautifully, this. So if you do learn your modes, it actually helps to learn your tunes and to play bass lines, because look, the pattern here. All those notes I was just playing were just shapes that belong to this key, and it helps me to think in that way anyway. Maybe it'll help you. Pino just introduces a really interesting idea and a pattern here. So he introduces that and plays around with that a little bit more than before. Before it came in a pretty regular pattern. But there's something else that happens that I absolutely love. Over the G. I just really think that is so musical. We've got G, B flat to E flat. I'm just rolling that little finger from the E string to the A string to get those notes. And we've got another one of those slides. Notice that articulations and embellishments have been used by Pino all over this. It sounds really soulful. It sounds really vocal. I think that's why he does it. It's just such a beautiful way of going from the G root to the A flat. The point of this whole lesson, and any lesson that I do that teaches what players do in songs, is just to show you a little bit about how songs are constructed in terms of the chords, but what you can play over them, the approach that a player's thinking. And this isn't to become a Pino clone or what have you. I say that a lot because I think the point of this is to develop your own voice, and the way you do that is by listening to as many bass lines as you can. This is one of my favourites. I've never actually played this one before. Just for this lesson, I thought it would be a good one to do. I certainly would need to go and listen to it loads more to get everything he plays on it. But even just teaching you this now, I'm thinking of ideas that I'll be using next time. You know, things like how he's just getting to a chord in such a beautiful way. You've got a little bit of melody and then perfect notes, you know, the triad. Really simple notes. He's not doing anything wildly difficult in this, and I think that's a great thing that I'm going to take forward to this from this, and I just hope you've got something from this as well. If there are any bass lines or bass players or songs that you'd like me to do a bit like this, then leave a comment below and I'll do that. But I do appreciate you watching. Please subscribe. I do at least a video a week, and thanks very much for watching. See you next time.